Carl, everybody out there knows that data protection is very important. And there's all kinds of data brokers out there. They get your name, contact info, social security, home address. They compile the data and then they sell it. Everyone on the web can buy your private details. We all get these random spam calls. I'm getting one right now as we speak. They must be hearing me. Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone else vulnerable. If you haven't, you probably know somebody who has. Delete Me is your help. Take control of your data. Keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me now at a special discount for our listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/pro. Use the promo code PRO at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/pro. Use the promo code PRO.
Nationwide is so much more than a great insurance company. They're one of America's largest financial services companies. Like how I'm more than just Peyton Manning. I'm also motivating Manning. When I say insurance, you say financial services. Insurance.
Financial services.
Insurance.
Financial services.
Now when I say nationwide, you say is both. Nationwide.
Is both.
Nationwide.
Is both.
For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Investment Services Corporation, member FINRA, Columbus, Ohio.
A t-shirt and jeans, mac and cheese. Some things in life are an obvious match, like RIAs and Schwab Advisor Services, the #1 choice for independent advisors. The difference is so obvious, it's Schwabvious. Learn why at schwabvious.com.
Looking for these better days.
It is week 13 of the NFL season, and we hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. Welcome into the week 13 Props Pod, presented by FanDuel, a collaborative effort between Better Day and Betting Predators. I'm Scott Seidenberg, joined by Mackenzie Rivers and the mad journalist, Chris Dell. Guys, Thanksgiving was a fun slate to watch, certainly the Black Friday slate as well with the Eagles and the Bears. But we're going to focus all of our attention on the Sunday action. And I talked about this earlier in the week. If there was ever a Sunday where you wanted to go out and watch the games and not necessarily sit at home and be locked in with multiple screens, and this is the Sunday to do it, because this schedule, Mackenzie, is leaves a lot to be desired.
Great scheduling from the marketing geniuses in Manhattan known as the NFL. Big Thursday, great Friday, and everybody can tryptophan nap their way till Monday. There's not much going on.
But that's where we can make the money. And Chris has been, Chris, I know you've been prepping for all the prop actions, the weather reports that we're going to have for this schedule of games. And certainly let's dive right in and get to things here coming up for week 13 Sunday in the NFL. And let's start with the weather game, Chris. This is one that already we are seeing the total dip down, and I think the total is going to dip down even further. We're talking about the game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Cleveland Browns, currently up on FanDuel. 49ers a 4.5-point favorite with a total of 36.5, but we have lake effect snow warning. We have snow showers in the morning. We have 25-mile-per-hour winds. And I believe this total will go down once the public gets, word and they see the reports from the pregame shows about all the wind and the cold. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing closes at like 34.5 coming here on Sunday.
Yeah, this is already a game we were leaning unders for because Cleveland's offense hasn't been great all year. I know Shedeur gave them a little bit of a boost last week, but San Francisco's defense started to pick things up last week in primetime against Carolina. They had a really good showing there. I'm thinking they might have a halfway decent showing here against Cleveland, even without the weather. Shedeur Sanders has been a sack machine. Obviously, the props are going to be heavily juiced under as it is, but I think for me, possibly looking at either passing yards or passing attempts under for these guys. Brock Purdy really struggled throwing it in the air against Carolina in that game. Had, I think, 3 interceptions or 4 interceptions in that contest. This is a very tough match. I mean, Carolina is beatable through the air. Cleveland is not. And the fact this is a low-scoring game here, total game, and the Niners are already 5-point favorites, I think they're going to try to be extremely conservative in this matchup. So I would look to Brock Purdy under his pass attempts and passing yards. That's kind of the first place I'm looking right now.
Well, we're seeing up on FanDuel right now, Brock Purdy, 204.5 passing yards. Shedeur Sanders, 155.5 passing yards. Mackenzie, last week we did cash an over on Shedeur Sanders passing yards, but it took a 1-yard screen pass that was taken to the house for a 66-yard touchdown in order for us to cash that. So if you took that one pass away from Shedeur, he goes under his passing yardage prop in a game that did not feature 25 to 30 mile an hour winds and snow showers. It feels like maybe this is the game to go under the 155.5, even though it is a lower reduced number. What do you think?
I tend to agree. I think Shedeur Sanders has gotten a lot of people apologizing for being too harsh on him. And I get that they won. First Brown starter to win his first start in 3 decades, but he didn't show anything. He has 2 games that he's played. He hasn't had a QBR of 10. I was not one of those guys banging the drum that this guy's not a first-round pick like you smartly were. But just on the field, hasn't impressed at all. And look at what we did with J.J. McCarthy. He had a bad game against the Bears, but they had a comeback win. And we were saying, well, he's a leader of men. I mean, Kevin O'Connell was saying this in the press conference. We're going to get behind this guy. Well, fast forward 2 months, and he was just as bad as he looked in those first couple starts when he looked terrible. I haven't changed my grade on Shedeur Sanders from, third-string quarterback, and I don't think the market should either. I really like Robert Saleh as a coordinator, and I think this is where he thrives. When you have a talent mismatch like they did against the Rams, 5 touchdowns in 6 possessions, the game was over early. But every time he's against a bad or mediocre quarterback, even with the limited 49ers defenders, they have a really good scheme. So I see 17-10, something like that. I would even go under the 35. For the 49ers perspective, Brock Purdy said it wasn't affected by his toe, but a lot of people are saying he doesn't drive the ball like he used to, like he did last year, and they said the turf toe is not going to go away. So tough to find satisfying offense here.
Both quarterbacks are at 27.5 pass attempts. If we look at the rushing props, Christian McCaffrey, 68.5 rushing yards. Quinshon Judkins, 69.5 rushing yards. Rushing attempts, McCaffrey, 18.5. Judkins, 17.5. Which of those, Chris, do you like?
Just to stick on the quarterbacks for a second, because I was actually on Shedeur under last week. And I think if you want to look for him under, I would actually look at the completions, because that actually still hit last week. And the reason I would have probably taken my bet back if I had a chance, because there was a late report about the Browns being willing or they were going to be aggressive taking deep shots for Shedeur Sanders. That seems to be his quote unquote strength right now. I don't know in terms of the short to intermediate game. So I think they're going to continue to do that, try to fit the play calling to his skills there. So I would still look under for Shedeur in that sense. Even with the attempts for Brock Purdy, I would still look under there too. In terms of the rushing game here, on paper, this is a very good matchup for Quinshon Judkins. I definitely like him looking at the possible to score anytime touchdown, even though you have to pay a little bit of juice on that. Obviously wouldn't touch that for Christian McCaffrey, given how high the number is. But I even think for Christian McCaffrey, in the minus 125 range to score, Brian Robinson plus 650, Quinshon Judkins near even money. I think those are pretty solid bets given the weather concerns here. And I think the 49ers, they will score some points. At least I think they will in this game. And I think they're going to be very ground focused. They're projected for around 20.5 points on the week. So those are some of the areas I look, and I might look at Quinshon Judkins to go over his longest rush, given the positive matchup on the ground here for the trenches.
Yeah, this to me just feels like the game that we hammered earlier in the season, the weather game there in Cleveland, when we were all over the Quinshon Judkins props. And it feels like this is the similar type of game with this weather in Cleveland, where 17.5 is not enough. He's going to run the ball 20 times. They're going to run, and we saw it last week. They line up in the Wildcat when it comes down to the red zone, and they just allow Judkins to run the football. I think that's the way that they're going to attack the 49ers here. If we're seeing 25 to 35 mile an hour wind gusts, which is a similar script that we saw in the rain and the wind in that Miami game, then it's hard to envision him not going over these numbers. In that Miami game, Quinshon Judkins had 25 carries for 84 yards. 17.5, that is probably my best bet of the week here when it comes to a running back going over his rushing attempts. Any final thoughts on this game before we move on to the next one?
Yeah, another similarity real quick about that Dolphins game is there was a Shanahan offense in McDaniel, and it was the Jim Schwartz defense. Kyle Shanahan himself is 1-9 straight up in ATS versus Jim Schwartz.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's going to be tough to get to 20 points, I think. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Well, weather everywhere. All right, let's move on to our next game here. It is the Los Angeles Rams at the Carolina Panthers. The Rams a 10.5-point favorite up on FanDuel, total of 45.5. And I keep going back to just, the old transitive property, right? Team A beats Team B beats Team C, so Team A naturally is going to beat Team C, right? Well, the 49ers just handled the Carolina Panthers. The Rams are better than the 49ers. Sorry, Mackenzie. The Rams are better than the 49ers, so why shouldn't they not handle the Carolina Panthers?
No reason. 10 points. McVay is actually one of the few quarterbacks that has a great road favorite record, and I see domination here. I see under 17 points for the Panthers, and the Rams score as many as they need to, as many as they want to.
Chris, where are you looking from a prop angle in this matchup?
Yeah, it's tough because you like to look at Stafford possible overs here. I just don't know if the Panthers offense is going to be able to even push the Rams to keep up the pace here in the second half. It's one of those situations where I'm not sure that I would really look under on the pass attempts for Stafford. 44.5-point total, 10-point favorites on the road. I still think he'll throw the ball a ton. You can really do whatever you want against this Panthers defense. I know they had the 3 picks on Purdy last week. I think that's more Purdy's problem than the strength of the Carolina Panthers secondary here. So it's tough, man. Like I think Rico Dowdle, like he's a guy where I love the workload, but I would possibly look to him under 60.5 rushing yards, like anything in like the low to mid 60s there would probably look under for him. I would maybe even secondarily look at Chuba Hubbard. It's a small line, like 18.5 rushing yards under. Rico Dowdle did go to Twitter to kind of voice his frustration about the Panthers going away from the rushing game in the last couple of weeks, and we saw 2 weeks ago Bryce Young went ham, 400 plus yards, and then right back to who we thought Bryce Young is, and who he was, and who he really is, and having a very bad passing efficiency game last week, and was a good matchup on paper. So I can only look unders for the Panthers run game because I think the Rams might have the best running defense in the league here. I'm a little hesitant to play overs for the Rams. I'm not sure how much they're going to have to put their foot on the gas pedal here to really come out with a road win at Carolina.
In a game like this, I always like to look at backup running backs, and so I expect the Rams to be winning comfortably, and I expect Blake Corum to get a lot of carries in the second half and maybe into the fourth quarter. So Blake Corum's rushing yardage prop here at FanDuel, 33.5. His rushing attempts is not listed yet, but you can find it somewhere, or it will be listed as we get closer to kickoff here on Sunday. I'd be looking at Blake Corum overs.
Got agreement there?
Yeah, I assume you're okay with that, right?
I don't mind looking there at all. I mean, I think he's been inefficient, but in this type of matchup, I think that's a solid line.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our next game here, and hopefully a little bit more of a competitive game. The Arizona Cardinals at the Tampa Bay Bucks. Tampa Bay a 4.5-point favorite, total of 45.5. Looks like Baker Mayfield is fine and will play in this matchup, dealing with that AC joint injury in his left shoulder. He was clearly impacted by this. When we saw him make that one throw attempt down the field last week and then grab his shoulder, I know it's his non-throwing shoulder, but he was definitely impacted by this. The other injury status that we have to announce is that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be back here for the Cardinals, and how does that affect Michael Wilson, who has been the wide receiver 1 here for Jacoby Brissett over the last 2 weeks, and we have certainly enjoyed, Chris, betting overs on Michael Wilson. Now what happens with Marvin Harrison being back?
Well, he's still listed as questionable. It's not a guarantee he plays yet, even though I think he's on track to play. I still think that Michael Wilson will serve as the primary target getter at wide receiver. I still think Greg Dortch will be in play. The coaches are kind of slow talking the Harrison thing because Harrison's never even in 2 years put up the type of numbers that Michael Wilson has put up. Yeah. And it's a touchy subject, right? Because he's former, first round pick, high pedigree. was kind of like looking like a semi-bust the last couple of years, and now you see what Michael Wilson's been able to do. I think Michael Wilson, a much more like savvy route runner, veteran than Marvin Harrison, even though he's not really that old either. So I think that those things are definitely still in play for them, but we're not going to see any lines. I don't see any lines currently for Arizona's passing group because of Marvin Harris being currently listed as questionable. I would definitely possibly look to see possible value on overs for Dort or for Wilson, though, given this pass funnel matchup against Tampa Bay.
What about Jacoby Brissett, 270.5 passing yards?
It keeps going up and up. Like, I've been betting it over. If we get positive reports at for Baker Mayfield this weekend, it would give me more confidence in playing Brissett over, because if Baker's like going to be really banged up and still playing, or like, Teddy Bridgewater, obviously, then I wouldn't be as confident in this being like a true shootout back and forth type of game. It looks like Baker is on track to play. Tampa Bay's projected currently for 25 points. The Arizona Cardinals are close behind there as well at 20.5. I think that Arizona's offense isn't getting enough respect in this matchup overall, but they're starting to put Brissett's number to a place where I'm not sure if I can bet it anymore. So I'm kind of 50-50 on that one right now.
Mackenzie, are you have any interest in laying it here with the Tampa Bay Bucks if Baker is back and playing?
None at all. I would actually take the points with the Cardinals. A lot of metrics put these teams much closer than the market has them.
Yeah.
The Cardinals are the pregame projected fourth quarter win share has them at 5.3 wins through 11 games. The Buccaneers 5.3 wins through 12 games. So the Cardinals have had better chances to win. They've blown a lot of games. They're last in winning, taking care of their advantages, while the Buccaneers have had a couple fourth quarter comebacks. I think this is an even matchup. If Baker Mayfield's not 100%, I would take the 3.5.
Okay. And you can get 4.5 right now, as I mentioned on FanDuel, so might be something to take a look at there. The Jacksonville Jaguars are at the Tennessee Titans. Jags are 6.5-point favorites, total of 41.5. Chris, our favorite player, Brian Thomas Jr., has no injury designation for this game. Is this the BTJ return?
You mean least favorite player? I mean, my God, anyone who drafted him in fantasy this year is not making the playoffs. Let's put it that way. I would still. I mean, he's gonna play. Looked like he had a full week of practice. I don't know if he's gonna get the most targets. I think there might be like a four-way split with targets, given Brenton Strange getting heavy volume last week. Jacoby Myers continuing to mix in more. Obviously, Parker Washington is still there in the slot. I think this is a really nice game for the running backs. Travis Etienne kind of got back to that stranglehold on the lead back duties. 62.5 for him, I think, is pretty solid against Tennessee. That's kind of the first place I would look. Obviously, I'm surprised the spread is as tight as it is. I thought it would be more than 7 points. But, the Titans have shown a little bit of life coming off the bye, Cam Ward included here. So those are some of the things I would kind of look at. I think Etienne to score a touchdown near even money is pretty interesting here as well. We do have Jeffrey Simmons on the defensive line for Tennessee at home is a pretty good, obviously borderline elite run stopper there as well. So I'm not sure what I want to play in terms of receiving wise, because we're not going to see numbers right now for Tennessee because we have multiple question marks with Chig Okonkwo, Alec Iomanner. If both those guys were out, I would definitely look at Chimere Dike again, but they're going to be in. So it's tough. I think you're going to see both these quarterbacks spread the ball around a lot, which would lead me more to looking at targeting specific unders than overs in this matchup.
And Mackenzie, this is, we talk about it all the time, how crazy this division is, right? Team A, Team A beats Team B only when they go to Team B, and Team B beats Team C only when they go to Team C. Jags in Tennessee, has it been a good history or not a good history?
Absolutely terrible. 2-7-1 ATS in their last 10. Mm-hmm. Only winning 3 of those games, despite the Titans not. Jaguars, and I guess they've been both pretty bad recently. But Colts don't win in Jacksonville. Jacksonville don't win in Tennessee. That's been true year after year.
Interesting. 6.5 point spread here in this game. Let's move on.
We also got to go, Scott, to the weekly tradition of playing Tennessee running backs unders. They've been hitting almost every single week. Tajay Spears, Tony Pollard. I'm definitely going back to the well on those. Again, we had a 5-0 clean sweep betting their unders last week at Betting Predators.
You mean you mean there's players on the Titans? I thought it was just.
They actually do have running backs on their roster, believe it or not.
Wow. Let's talk about the New Orleans Saints at the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins 5.5 point favorites, total of 42.5. I mean, imagine listing this Saints team as a favorite over anybody, and they were favored last week against Atlanta, and it was the wrong move. 24-10 was that final score. Tyler Shuck, though, did throw for 243 yards in that game, and now you look at this Miami defense. Do we think that maybe Shuck could have success here against the Miami defense? His line, McKenzie's at 216.5.
He's kind of surprised me, Tyler Shuck. He's, QBR and PFF hasn't been that bad, but I don't know how it doesn't translate to more points for the Saints. The Saints offense has been worse than where their quarterbacks have graded, both Rattler and Shuck. Mm-hmm. So from a yardage perspective, I think I would lean over. Dolphins, one of the more vulnerable against the pass all season.
Chris, Alvin Kamara is out for this game. Devin Neal, the rookie, is going to be the starting running back. His rushing yardage prop is at 37.5. Taysom Hill is at 23.5. Any play on either of those?
Possibly. I could see those seem like low numbers that hit for overs. The Dolphins offer a good rush defense matchup on paper. I think Achane is in a very good spot. He's my number one overall player in fantasy for the week. I know his numbers are going to be high as it is, 119.5 I'm seeing around rushing receiving line. Keep your eye on Chris Olave. He makes a big difference for me in this game if he's going to be out. He left practice early, either Wednesday or Thursday, but had a full practice in today. He left practice with a back injury. He had already been listed as questionable before that. So I would say there's a little more than 50% chance to play right now. If he's out, I mean, I would be really worried about betting any overs across the board, because then I would think the Saints offense might be completely inept here. I think either way, I really do like looking at Juwan Johnson once we do see those numbers listed. I think his receptions, possible yards over, if it's anywhere like in the 40s or high 30s range, would definitely be an area I'd like to attack. He's been their like number 2 target getter in that entire offense next to Chris Olave since they traded away Rashid Shaheed. Really good athlete, obviously used to play in college with Tyler Shuck back in the day. So those are some of the things I'm looking at with the TBD with Chris Olave right now.
Okay. Let's move on to the Atlanta Falcons taking on the New York Jets up on FanDuel. The Falcons 2.5 point road favorites. Total is 39.5. Kirk Cousins in this offense. I mentioned the win that they had over the New Orleans Saints last week. Tyrod Taylor and the Jets were competitive somewhat against the Baltimore Ravens, but as we have seen, and we saw it on Thanksgiving night, the Ravens are just a shell of a team that we thought they were going to be. Lamar is clearly a shell of himself. So I don't know what to take into this matchup. I certainly have no interest I'm not running to the window to bet either of these teams. Mackenzie, would you lean one way or the other in this game?
Yes, I think the Falcons are a strong play here. I mean, remember, this team lost in the last minutes against the Buccaneers, against the Patriots. They beat the Bills. The Falcons have been a decent team. They've lost a lot of close games. And Kirk Cousins had a terrible performance against the Dolphins in his first start. Against the Saints, he looked more like Kirk Cousins that we've known over the last couple of years. I think you kind of, dollar cost average his performance and say, all right, we're going to expect him to be the 22nd best quarterback, not the 45th like he was priced last week when they were dogs to the Saints. So I would lean to the Falcons here.
Okay. If the Falcons are going to go on the road and win this game, Chris, does it have to be a heavy dosage of Bijan Robinson, and are we being taxed accordingly with his prop here at 79.5 rushing yards?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a gettable number. I don't know, like McKenzie made a comment a few weeks ago when they traded away Quinnen Williams that it's not really as big of a deal as you'd think it is, and I tend to agree with that now. Like, the Jets' defense really hasn't been all that bad, and being at home here in the cold weather, I think that the wrong team might be favored in this game with Kirk Cousins going on the cold in the road. Like, are we that sure that Tyrod Taylor's not a better quarterback in this situation then Kirk Cousins, or if they're just completely even here. We see the total at 39.5 with a less than 3-point spread. So, like, we did hit Kirk Cousins under last week. I believe that was at home in a better spot. I don't know. I think it could be a lot of Bijan here, but I'm scared of both of these offenses. I also think Breece Hall is in a very good spot, and I think his efficiency and usage is going to be a lot better with Tyrod Taylor than Justin Fields under center. I think that looking at possibly Breece Hall in the receiving game in the longest rush prop category could be worth attacking here too. It's juiced over 15.5. So I think we could see a lot of Breece and Bijan in like a ground heavy type of game, maybe looking at Cousins unders as well.
Well, a guy who has kind of stepped up here for the New York Jets in their receiving game with Tyrod Taylor has been John Mechie. You know, he had 7 targets last week, 65 yards. He had 3 catches for 45 yards the week before that, and he's kind of like establishing himself. His prop here is at 35.5 yards. Like it just feels like that's the guy that, you know, Tyrod Taylor seems to be looking for right now. I mean, and certainly, and Adonai Mitchell is finding himself in this Jets offense as well. He had 2 catches for 42 yards last week, and just 1 catch on 6 targets against the Patriots. But I would look towards John Mechie going over 35.5 receiving yards for the New York Jets.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I don't know why Mitchell has a higher line than Mechie does. Yeah. I would line Mechie higher, even though Mitchell's going to get the deeper targets, but he's been very inefficient on those targets.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
Let's go to the next game where I said the Quinshon Judkins rushing attempts prop might be my favorite prop of the week. I lied. I have a favorite prop of the week in this game. Houston Texans at the Indianapolis Colts, currently up on FanDuel. Colts 3.5-point favorites, total of 44.5. And my favorite prop of the week is going to be, you know how for quarterbacks you can bet the combined rushing and passing yards? My best bet is going under Daniel Jones' combined rushing and passing yardage. The news came out earlier this week. He's dealing with a fracture in his fibula. He's going to play. It's one of those like pain tolerance things, and they showed the video of him at practice kind of moving gingerly. I believe that this is a serious injury, that I don't know if Daniel Jones maybe plays the whole game, or even if he does, he's going to have hesitancy to run. And I think that's basically like giving us, extra yardage as a runway here for the passing yards to go under against the best defense in the NFL in the Houston Texans. So it's like I'm already in on the under passing yardage, but I'm just going to take a free, 15 extra yards by betting the rushing plus passing yards to go under. What do you think about that, Chris?
Yeah, you're getting his rushing yards prop is 8.5 from what I'm seeing, and you're looking at around 13 extra yards in the passing rushing combined.
239.5 for the combo rushing and passing yards.
To me, it's like unders across the board here. It's going to be a heavy dose of Jonathan Taylor. Texans might be the best defense in the league. They're even more stingy against the pass than they are against the run, but they're really great against both. And man, I thought fractured fibula when I saw that. I thought that's isn't that supposed to be like a career-ending, if not season-ending injury? How is he? Do they really not like Anthony Richardson that much? It's man, I can't believe he's going to play through this. So I think under passing yards, I think under rushing yards, under passing and rushing yards. I might just go play all three of those in this matchup because I don't think they're going to try to risk that. Given their record, their playoff opportunities and hopes for this season that are still realistic here, they just want to get a win. It looks like C.J. Stroud is going to play, I believe. I think that was confirmed earlier today.
Yep.
But for the Texans side, I'm not really sure what to trust. Like maybe Davis Mills was even more efficient than C.J. Stroud was, so I don't know if it's going to be anything of an upgrade here for the Texans offensively. But yeah, that's certainly agree with you. Like unders across the board for Daniel Jones.
Mackenzie, are the Texans the play here?
I think so. It's funny. A lot of the metrics, the Colts are just a little bit better across the board, but there's one glaring metric that's completely opposite between these teams. The Colts have had the third easiest strength of schedule. The Texans have had the ninth hardest strength of schedule. And if you look at Daniel Jones' season, it really changed when he went at Pittsburgh and then to London against the Falcons and then versus the Chiefs. When he's played good teams, he's come back to earth. And if the injury's part of that, I think that keeps going. C.J. Stroud is going to be a question mark, but it's not like he has to be Superman. They're not led by their offense. If he's marginally better than David Mills, I think the Texans are the play here at, what, plus 4.5 still?
Yeah, plus 3.5 right now up on FanDuel.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the play for me. Yep, that is the play for me. Texans money line, how about that? Plus 150. Minnesota Vikings take on the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle an 11.5-point favorite, total of 41.5. And Chris, I don't know if you have a scouting report. Mackenzie, do you have a scouting report? What do we expect from Max Brosmer getting the start at quarterback here for the Minnesota Vikings?
I haven't studied that much Max Brosmer tape over the last few weeks. Some, but not
no?
much.
Oh, come on, man.
That said, I think people are assuming – I think this should be 2 touchdowns. I think people are assuming, all right, Kevin O'Connell, he works wonders with backup quarterbacks. People remember Josh Dobbs went there, and my man Nick Mullins went there. And, yeah, he's played with a lot of quarterbacks, and he's done poorly. He's below ATS, Kevin O'Connell, in his career, not because of Kirk Cousins, who has a great record with him, not because of Sam Darnold, who had an excellent record with him, not even J.J. McCarthy, who's, I think, 500 ATS with him. It's because when Josh Dobbs went in there and when Nick Mullins went in there, they were like 2-10. He might have had a couple of like representative moments of being great with a backup quarterback, and we think he's this Shanahan-esque offensive guru. The numbers don't suggest that. I think the Vikings get rolled here.
I agree with it. It's a heavy line, but it feels like one where I don't know how the Vikings are going to score on this Mike McDonald defense. Chris, where would you be just looking again like unders across the board here for Minnesota offensive players?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely look there. I mean, he could have a lot more success than I think. The one thing I'm almost sure of is that he's going to be better than J.J. McCarthy was.
Yeah, that's funny because as bad as I shitted on him there, I could shit on J.J. McCarthy for longer. So yeah, I don't know if it's a downgrade. I just think they get rolled here anyway.
I think they'll get rolled, but I think he could put up some numbers. So I don't think I would bet Brosmer under. I think I would definitely agree with what Mackenzie said. Like this should be a bigger spread. And the fact that the Vikings with their blitz scheme is like they're almost more of a run funnel than you would pass against them. And I would definitely bet that's probably my early best bet of the week is betting Sam Darnold under his pass attempts. Because anytime they're winning by margin, he's going under. They're using like 3 running backs a week. At home here, I think Darnold under the passing attempts for sure. I'd be shocked if the Vikings are able to push them even for more than a quarter or two to stay competitive in this game.
All right, this next game is really intriguing. The Bills go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Bills are 3-point favorites, total of 45.5 right now up on FanDuel. But the Bills are dealing with a lot of injuries in this game. Aaron Rodgers, meanwhile, is going to be back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's start with the Pittsburgh guy here. Chris, what are you hearing about Rodgers and the Steelers and this offense? And with all the injuries that the Bills are dealing with, are the Steelers +3 at home the right side in this game?
I don't know. They're so hot and cold with Mike Tomlin this time of the year. Definitely on track for a 9-8 or 8-9 finish in classic Tomlin fashion for sure. And I agree, like those offensive line injuries are a big deal. Like in fantasy, like I'm definitely going to be bumping up the Steelers DST for DFS purposes. I think there's a lot of sack potential there for sure. How does that equate to props? I'm not really too sure. Like, we're not seeing many lines on receiving for the Bills right now because Dalton Kincaid is back and he's listed as questionable for them, which could be a big deal, and that could affect a lot across the board with Shakir, with the other receivers as well. I think with Rodgers coming off the wrist injury, there's a lot of talk right now. Is like, this is Rodgers for sure going to be his final season in the NFL. I think this could be a really rush heavy, given like the weather is starting to change a little bit here. It seems like every time I look at the reports, like now I'm seeing over 60% chance of rain or over 50%, like winds up to 20 something miles an hour. Given the Rodgers injury, given the Bills offensive line injuries, I think we're going to see a heavy dose of the rush game from Pittsburgh here at home. Jaylen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, both. I'm not sure. I think Jaylen Warren should get the early crack at the early down work. But Kenneth Gainwell, 27.5 rushing yards, given that's been almost a 50-50 split in that backfield as of late. I think that number's a little bit too low. So I might just be betting both Steelers running backs going over because everyone's been seemingly rushing on the Bills this season.
Yeah, so both left tackles are out, Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown. Linebacker Terrell Bernard is out. Curtis Samuel is out at wide receiver. Then Gabe Davis will play or whatever. But, the banged up Bills, Mackenzie, feels like a dangerous spot to be laying 3 on the road.
Yeah, and to Chris's point, second to last rush EPA per play. Only the Giants are worse than the Bills in the season. The Bengals, after a strong Thanksgiving game, actually better than the Bills in this particular metric. They passed him. So Steelers, I'd say under from a side or total perspective would be my play. I feel like the Steelers have to, whoever their quarterback is, have to make this a low possession game.
Low. All right. So do you lean in under?
Yeah, I lean under on the total, and that would correspond to unders on props, or if you're going to bet an over, a rushing over would be my preference.
All right. Raiders take on the Chargers, and this is, I know it's in LA, but it's going to be a Raider home game. That's just how it is. There'll be more Raiders fans in that building ever since they moved there. It's how it is every single year. Chargers 9.5-point favorites here though over the Raiders, total of 40.5. And the Raiders have just been disgusting this season. Geno Smith has had a terrible year. Ashton Genty's hot and cold, although he has faced a couple of good run defenses and unable to get going on the ground. But the offensive line has been pathetic. And the same thing for the Chargers. These are two bad offensive lines right now, and it has me intrigued by betting unders on the running backs here in this matchup, Chris.
Yeah, these might be the two worst offensive lines in the league right now. The only issue is that the run defenses aren't really good either on either side. Yeah. So what's going to give here? I'm not sure. Omari Hampton was ruled out just a couple hours ago, so it's going to be the Kamani Vidal show for at least one more week in LA. This one's tough, man. Like I think looking at like the guys who get those short area targets for the Chargers, obviously you have Gadsden at tight end. Keenan Allen played a lot more. He was like before last week, he was like trending at like 25% route participation. He was like above 75%. So I think they made maybe a little bit of shift there to more 3 wide receiver sets to get more easy layup targets for Justin Herbert to complete. So I'd maybe look at Keenan Allen, Oronde Gadsden over 3.5 catches each, Ladd McConkey 4.5, maybe looking at Quentin Johnston under in that same vein. Like those are some of the areas I think that I would try to attack here. But yeah, this could be one of those like tricky where you would think there'd be a lot of points or offensive goodness between these two like quote unquote bad defenses, but I think the offensive lines are even worse. So I agree why that total is just sitting at 40.5 there.
Just an ugly, ugly game that we have here on Sunday afternoon. Let's take a look at the Sunday night game, which might not be any better, guys. Broncos are at the Commanders. Denver, a 5.5-point favorite, total of 43.5. Mackenzie, you brought this up many, many times, how horrible of a home field it is for Washington. They do not cover at FedEx Field or whatever it's called now.
Exactly. And I think it's been called FedEx Field the whole time. Okay. But it's so separated from like the identity of the Commanders that it seems like Invesco Field or
actually it's called Northwest Stadium, Mackenzie.
Oh,
so
it is changed. Right. Okay, it was FedEx Field when I used to go there.
It's called Northwest Stadium. All right, everybody knows that. You go to Landover, Maryland, and you play in Northwest
Fun fact about
Stadium.
Formerly FedEx Field that I think is actually apropos to why it sucks to play there. It is closer to the Baltimore Ravens practice facility and Baltimore the city than it is to Washington, D.C. or Ashburn, wherever the Commanders play.
Where the Commanders facility is, yes.
It has nothing to do with anything except for corporate interests, and it's why it sucks there. From 1996 when they started on, 56% ATS, so pretty much my NBA record, but not for 4 years, for 30 years, if you're just fading the Commanders at home. And I know they were like 7-1 a couple years ago, and everyone said, oh, it's a new owner, it's all different. It's not different. Maybe Trump will save them and they'll move to D.C. Till then, I always look to fade the Commanders. Of course, you don't play it blind, although 56% you could have played it blind. But I also think the Broncos are well situated here to take advantage of a Marcus Mariota-led offense. I think my best bet of the week was the Bears, which looks like it's going to come in, which hurts my survivor a lot because it's over. But my second best bet of the week on the side is the Broncos laying the points here.
All right, no Jaden Daniels once again, but Terry McLaurin, Chris, is going to be back here for the Commanders.
And Patrick Surtain is also going to be back for the Broncos, so that means I really like me some Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin unders for me. He plays primarily out wide, which is better for a shadow coverage matchup for a shadow type of corner like Surtain. So I think he might be on Terry McLaurin the entire game. So I think 43.5 under for McLaurin. I would look at Mariota under. I think this is a fantastic spot for RJ Harvey, the rookie coming off the bye. His box score wasn't great before the bye against Kansas City, but they have a really good rush defense. But we still saw his overall usage was like a 75% plus running back rush share for Denver. I think he's going to get a lot of touches in this game. I think he's slightly above even money for scoring a touchdown. I think his rushing prop, when it comes to my weekly top 150 fantasy rankings, in terms of where I am at certain players, either above or below the expert consensus average rankings, I'm highest above market on RJ Harvey this week. I'm going to hope to play him a lot. I hope his ownership doesn't get too high in DFS, but over 50.5 yards, over his longest rush. I might just play the trifecta there on RJ Harvey, and I might even look as well at some Troy Franklin reception overs. I think you can really just have your way with Washington's defense no matter how you look at it. So I think you're going to see the young guys, Harvey and Franklin, really have a nice spot here.
Okay, I like that. So overs on Harvey and Franklin, and unders on Terry McLaurin here in his first game back here from injury. But Surtain, as you mentioned, also back here for the Denver Broncos. Mackenzie likes the Broncos lay in the wood here on the road in Landover, Maryland. All right, guys.
It's a neutral site.
It's a neutral site. You're right. It's a neutral site. Any final thoughts on this Sunday slate? Not an exciting Sunday slate, but nonetheless, there's opportunities to make some money. To recap, exactly. One of my best bets is going on Daniel Jones under the combo rushing yards and passing yards. I do not think he is healthy, as was reported earlier this week. He's not going to run, and I think the Texans will limit his passing ability. And then I also love in the weather game that we're going to see here for the Cleveland Browns and 49ers, Quinshon Judkins to go over his 17.5 rushing attempts here for Cleveland. Those are my two favorite prop bets of the week. Mackenzie, any final thoughts? Any recap of your best bets?
The money still spends the same, so you don't have to watch these games if you got something else better to do. I'm going to watch the Sunday night game, and my best bet of the week is the Broncos laying 5.5.
All right. Chris, what about you? Any recap of best bets? Any final thoughts on this slate?
Yeah, I'm still putting my thoughts together. This is kind of the making the sausage, looking at the prop card for the first time for us here. But to me, going through everything that we've talked about so far, Sam Darnold under the pass attempts at home against Max Brosner with a double-digit favored for the Seahawks there. And I think the Broncos and the Commanders game, I just kind of know what these teams are. So we talked about Terry McLaurin under, the RJ Harvey overs. I think the RJ Harvey overs for me is something I was already thinking about. And I'm actually a little surprised we're only seeing a number around 50.5, given how bad the Commanders defense has been. So I really like RJ Harvey over, Sam Darnold under. And I love the Daniel Jones angle as well. It seems like everyone's going to be on that, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing either.
Yep, and hopefully, hey, I'm not hoping for an injury, but listen, if the guy doesn't play the full game, well, then that's an easy way to cash cash in under here. Also, live betting opportunities are always very plentiful when it comes to the prop market. So keep an eye on these games. Keep an eye on guys leaving the game with injury. Certainly had a field day on Thanksgiving when Amon-Ra St. Brown goes down. I just started firing in on Jameson Williams overs, and that was just a rocking chair winner there. So you can take advantage in the prop market from a live betting perspective. Also, game script. If the game script's going to play out based on a team trailing or a team taking a lead, you can certainly look at live props from multiple angles. Don't forget, you could hit Chris up on Twitter at Mad Journalist, 2 Ds in Mad, Mackenzie Rivers at Mac and Rivers, me, Scott Seidenberg, at Scott's On Air. You can go to bettingpredators.com. That's Chris's website. The prop sheet will be available for you there. Chris's props are always available. His fantasy rankings always available at bettingpredators.com. The prop sheet will be sent out, emailed, and posted on betterday.com for our Better Day Insider and Premium members. Live bets as well, always going out to you Better Day Premium members during game day. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and enjoy your Week 13 Sunday slate.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.